shopkeeper. That's all you can have, friend. The traveler smelt your dishes, and you heard the jingle of his rupees. He has already paid you for the smells of your delicacies with the jingling of his purse. Next time be kind to weary travelers. The shopkeeper held his head in shame. The traveler thanked Mullah profusely before leaving on his way. Mullah winked at his donkey, patted his head, and said, "That was easy." Then he took a few sips from his water flask. Next is a chain of events. Every day, Mullah Nasruddin would stand in front of the mirror and stroke the silky strands of his beard. He was always in awe of it. He did it for no particular reason, and did it as many times as he could in a day, and made it a point to examine his beard before going to bed. One night, he stood in front of the mirror, as was his wont, and stroked his beard. Just then, a mouse scampered onto his beard and jumped out of sight. The mouse might nibble away at my beard. I should get a cat, he thought. The next day he got a cat. But what will the cat eat? I must get a goat. The goat would not let anyone milk her except for Gulzan. I shall send her to your house every day, said Gulzan's father. Mullah then hired a servant to fetch grass from a pasture far away. Then he converted one of the rooms of his house into a grocery shop. But all this was becoming too much for Mullah, who was used to being carefree, so he asked one of his friends Faiz for advice. Faiz suggested that Mullah marries Gulzan, who will manage everything. Mullah married Gulzan, but the next day she said, "Dear husband, I don't like your beard, it reminds me of the goat." So Mullah shaved his beard and looked at himself in the mirror. Then Mullah realized that he had started a long chain of events just for his dear beard, which was now gone. Next is If Thy Wish Be Granted. It was not yet evening. The children were still playing noisily on the streets. Under a banyan tree, near the lake frequented by fishermen, sat a small crowd. Mullah Nasruddin was also among them. The gathering was headed by none other than Salim Shah, a rich merchant who liked to converse with the townsfolk every Wednesday afternoon. Salim posed a question to the crowd that gathered in front of him. If God was pleased with you and offered to grant you a wish, what would you ask for? A young man replied, I would ask for a house that never runs out of food. Someone else from the crowd said, I would ask for a beautiful wife, children, and good health. The answers were as varied as the people under the tree. Then Salim asked another question. If you could only ask for wealth or brains, which would you choose? Mullah did not hesitate before saying wealth. Salim smirked. I thought you were wise, but it turns out you were a fool. When given the chance, you should ask for something that you can't get anywhere else. Everyone laughed at Mullah. Not to be deterred, Mullah asked Salim, Sir, what would you ask, wealth or brains? Brains, without a doubt, Salim replied. Mullah said, I will ask for wealth, because I have none. One would naturally ask for something that one does not have. On that note, you will ask for brains because you do not. Do I have to finish the sentence? Salim was left red-faced. While he stared at Mullah in embarrassment, the people in the crowd were afraid of offending Salim, so they exchanged looks and covered their faces to conceal their smiles. Thank you for listening to Mullah Nasruddin, and I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was an enriching experience for you. And next is the story of the tales of an emperor and his advisor. Please enjoy some stories of Akbar and Birbal, who were actually real people and who lived around the 16th century. King Akbar was the third Mughal emperor, and Birbal was his close friend, advisor, and courtier. Akbar Birbal. Whose money bag? The court had assembled. Emperor Akbar was going through routine administrative work. The guard informed that two men wished to settle a dispute in the presence of the emperor. Emperor gave permission for them to come. Both entered the court and bowed and stood in front of the emperor. "What is your problem?" Emperor asked. "Your Highness, my name is Kashi. I am an oil merchant and make a living by selling oil. Your Highness, this man is a butcher. He came to my shop and purchased oil. He took my money bag along with the oil. I caught him and asked for my money bag. He refused, saying it belongs to him. Your Highness, I seek justice." "You will get justice." "Now what is your side of the story?" Emperor asked. "Your Highness, my name is Ramzan, and I am a butcher. Today, after completing my daily business, I picked up my money bag. Then this oil merchant came and snatched it from me. Now he claims it to be his own. Your Highness, help me get my money back." The king was thoughtful in hearing the story of both sides. He could not decide in whose favor he should make judgment. He asked Birbal to decide. Birbal took the money bag from them and asked both of them to leave the court for some time. Birbal asked an attendant to bring water in a bowl. He took out a couple coins from the bag and put them in the bowl. He gazed at the water. Then he said, "Your Highness, no oil can be seen floating on water. If these coins were owned by the oil merchant, then there should have been some coating of oil on all the coins." Emperor put some more coins in the water and observed. Then he agreed with Birbal. Birbal called both of them back into the court and said, "I know who is the owner of this money bag. Kashi, you are telling a lie. This bag of money belongs to Ramzan the butcher." "Sir, this bag of money is mine," Kashi said. Birbal showed him the bowl containing the coins and water and said, "If this bag belongs to you, then there must have been some kind of oil left behind on the coins. You see for yourself, there is no trace of oil." Kashi had no answer. Birbal returned the money bag to Ramzan the butcher, and Kashi was jailed. Next is the moneylender's portrait. A moneylender once got his portrait painted. The portrait was ready. The moneylender told the painter that it wasn't done properly, so he asked him to repaint it. The painter did as asked, but moneylender was again critical and asked him to repaint it. The painter painted many times, but each time moneylender distorted his face and did not match with the picture. In the end, the painter asked for the charges of the services rendered. "What charges? When you could not make my desired portrait, then where is the question of charges? If you paint the exact portrait, then I shall pay the charges," stated the moneylender. Sadly, the painter returned home and narrated the incident to his wife. His wife suggested to take the matter to court. Acting on her advice, the next day he went to court and narrated the entire episode. Emperor Akbar asked for all the paintings and called for moneylender. Emperor Akbar looked at the portraits carefully and said, "Moneylender, is there anything wrong with the portraits?" "Yes, Your Highness. None of them actually resembles my face." Emperor was thoughtful. Then he asked Birbal to decide the case. Birbal heard and understood the whole case. He understood that moneylender was smart at changing facial expressions and was intentionally harassing the painter. He pondered over the issue and said, "Look, painter, I have seen all the paintings. They are lacking in totality. Be present in the court after 2 days with an excellent portrait of moneylender. And Mr. Moneylender, you will also be present. If you like your portrait, make the payment." Both the painter and moneylender returned home. A while later, Birbal called back the painter and told him to be present in the court with a big mirror. After 2 days, the painter was present in the court with a big mirror. When moneylender arrived, the painter kept the mirror in front of him and said, "Your portrait is ready." "But this is a mirror. This is the real portrait." "Well, moneylender, is it not your picture?" asked Birbal. Yes. Moneylender understood that he had been caught at his own game. He paid the painter to get out of the situation. The painter thanked Birbal. Next is mother tongue. One priest came to the court of Akbar and challenged the courtiers. Guess my mother tongue, or else accept defeat. Courtiers were not ones to accept defeat from outsiders. They questioned him in different languages, but the cunning priest replied in the same language in which the question was asked. How could anyone then guess his mother tongue? He was fluent in all languages. When all failed, he addressed the emperor. I give 7 days' time to guess my mother tongue to anyone. Do you accept it? Emperor Akbar looked at Birbal. Their eyes met. Birbal nodded, so the emperor said, I accept your challenge. The priest was staying in a lodge. Birbal found out the address of it. The next night, when the priest was fast asleep, Birbal entered his room. He tickled the ear of the priest with a straw. The priest murmured something and slept. Birbal again tickled him after some time. This time, the priest got up and screamed in Marathi, Who is there? Why are you disturbing my sleep? By that time, Birbal had safely hidden himself. The priest was unaware of his presence. He looked around, and seeing no one there, he again lay on the bed and fell asleep. Birbal's job was over. Quietly, he left the room. The priest returned after a week in the court, and said, Your Highness, could you find out anything about my mother tongue? Emperor looked at Birbal. Birbal replied, I shall say something about your question. For some time, both talked in various languages. In the end, Birbal said, Your Highness, the mother tongue of the priest is Marathi. The reply stunned the priest. He bowed his head, accepted defeat, and left the courtroom. Emperor Akbar was overjoyed at Birbal's wit. He was amazed how overnight he could solve the problem. On being asked, Birbal said, Your Highness, in time of difficulty or sadness, or when you wake up, suddenly the words uttered are in your mother tongue. He told them the whole story of what he had done. All the courtiers praised the insight of Birbal, and the emperor presented him with a gem-embedded necklace. I hope you had a good laugh, or were intrigued because of these stories. Next is the hilarious stories of an extremely dumb man named Shakechali. Please enjoy these mind-boggling stories of comedic stupidity. Shakechali was actually a real Sufi saint who was incredibly wise and respected. He had a vivid imagination and was turned into a comedic character for children, but he wasn't a dumb man at all. The first story is called Brainstorm. One day, Shakechali's mother had just washed clothes and put them out to dry. Then she got busy in cooking food, while Shakechali lay on his cot and indulged in daydreaming. Outside, a storm was building up quietly. Suddenly, it unleashed its fury. With a great speed, it swept the village. Dust had made seeing impossible. Most of the people had just enough time to shut their doors and windows. The same was the case with Shakechali's household. Then, Shakechali's mother remembered about the clothes that she had hung out to dry. The wind had blown away all of those clothes. When the storm subsided, she ran out to look for the missing clothes, and she was not alone. Many other villagers were out looking for their things that were blown away. After a long time of looking around, she returned with almost all the clothes she found scattered over the village. She informed Shakechali, Son, I found all the clothes but for your pajama. I know where it is. I saw it. It's floating in the village well. Fish it out of the well or someone else will take it. Sad thing. Sad? Shakechali exclaimed. Mother, it's a matter of joy. You must thank Allah. Why? How is it a matter of joy? His mother asked, utterly puzzled. Had I been wearing that pajama, I would have been in that well drowned and dead by now. The mother gave her son a pitiful look. The son wondered why his wisdom was not being appreciated. The next story is called The Sick Sickle. Once, Shakechali's mother was sick with a fever, and she was worried about her idiot son and about putting him to some useful work. No one was ready to employ him. She was making both ends meet by selling wood, cutting grass, and selling it to the people who had milch cows. So she said to her son, Shakechali, I am running high fever. I can't go to cut the grass. You must do some work to earn food. Take the sickle, go to the jungle, and cut grass the way you saw me cutting. It's not difficult. If you don't do it, we shall go hungry." Eating was something that Sheikh Chili liked the best of all things. The thought of going hungry chilled him. He picked up the sickle and went to the jungle. Somehow he managed to cut an entire bale of grass by noon. It was a very proud moment for Sheikh Chili. He had done a useful work that his mother would be grateful for. He returned home with a bale on his head and tossed it around, making loud noises for everyone to hear and to know that Sheikh Chili was a man of work. His mother smiled with tears in her eyes. Suddenly, Sheikh Chili realized that he had forgotten the sickle in the jungle. He went back to get it before anyone else could. It was there, lying in the grass under the blazing sun. Sheikh Chili shouted as he touched it. The sickle had become heated. Its handle was even quite hot as his mother's fever-stricken body. Sheikh Chili was worried. Why was it so hot? He at once decided that the sickle was suffering from the fever like his mother. He thought that the sickle could die if it wasn't treated. So he picked up the sickle and went to a doctor. On the way, he met a person who asked, "Where do you go, son? Why are you holding that sickle?" "Uncle, my poor sickle has a high fever. I must take it to the doctor." The other person knew that he had met an idiot. He was fond of pulling the legs of others. He said, "I am a city doctor, more qualified than the village doctor. Let me see the sickle." He felt the sickle. It was hot. He spoke, "Tut, tut. It has high hay fever. It can be fatal." Oh, no," Sheikh Chili cried. "Tell me what I should do." "Medicines don't work. You have to tie it with a string and dip it in the water of the well." Sheikh Chili thanked the city expert doctor and did as he was advised. A few dips in the cold water cooled the sickle down. Now he thought he had a sure cure for the fever passed down to him by the city doctor. He ran to the house to see his sick mother. Her condition had gotten worse and she was now unconscious. "No worries, I know the trick." Sometime later, people noticed the idiot Sheikh Chili busy in doing something horrible. They rushed to the well and found that Sheikh Chili had brought his sick mother to the well unconscious. He had tied a rope around her ankles and was about to lower her into the well to give her a couple dips into the water to treat her fever. When people learned about the sickle's fever and the treatment, they pitied the dumbness of Sheikh Chili. They were even too shocked to laugh. I hope you enjoyed that. And another example of an incredible folktale is Tenali Rama, the story of a minister who was very, very wise. I hope this episode was able to bring out a powerful essence of Indian culture, and that it was able to bring you a truly enriching experience. Amazing stories like these, which are derived from honorable and real people, are extremely valuable, and it's sad to see that they are not receiving as much appreciation as they deserve, because of the new and latest generation and its deep involvement into technology. This is one of the issues that SOAR aims to address, to encourage reading the good books, the classics, and just reading in general. Thank you for listening and have a great rest of your day. Remember to leave a review, like, and subscribe. See you next time. I implore you to soar.